Welcome into KSL Sports Rewind. My name is Dane Stewart. Please be joined by Jeff Hansen. We've got a different segment for you this week. We've got first and 10. We got 4 questions, 4 downs to see how well Jeff Hansen can answer those questions. We'll have yard updates as we go through it. But as always, want to remind you, first and 10 brought to you by Heidemann and Associates. If you have any legal needs, Heidemann and Associates, it's a full-service law firm with locations along the Wasatch Front. They can also meet with you virtually. And if you tell them that Rewind sent you, you'll get a free legal consultation from the experts at Heidemann and Associates. You don't have to try to sort through all the legalese and think back to your business law class. No. They're going to make it nice and simple, and they're big sports fans too, so they can even catch up with you on your favorite high school player or team. Check out Heidemann and Associates to learn more about their services. You can visit them online at utah.law. All right, so we got first and 10. We said 4 questions today that Jeff and I will talk about. Our first down question is, Jeff, we both saw it on Friday night. Lone Peak upset Corner Canyon. Lone Peak 3-0 to start the year. Corner Canyon just coming off that big win against IMG. What did you learn on Friday night in regards to Lone Peak and Corner after the 28-21 win for the Knights?
Football, even at the high school level, you hear it in the NFL, you hear it in college football, but even at the high school level, if you're that much better in the trenches, you're going to win a whole lot of football games. Lone Peak was that much better in the trenches. I was a little surprised. I think coming into the year, we knew that Corner had some questions on defense, and then we saw in their opening game against American Fork that defense got gashed a little bit. Then they responded really well against IMG, and it was like, okay, Corner's been fixed. They are not fixed. That Lone Peak offensive and defensive line, led by Jared Smith and Austin Pay on the offensive line, and then Bot Mulitalo on the defensive line, they dominated from the opening kickoff all the way until the upset was complete. The offense did just enough, but man, when they had the running lanes that they had and the defense was doing what they were doing, it's really, really tough for anybody to beat offensive and defensive line play like that.
That was one of the things for me that I was really interested in, or at least my question was, we've seen Lone Peak, we saw them against Bingham. Look, they needed their defense to help get that offense some points. On Friday night, it was a 21-point second quarter for Lone Peak. They didn't score in the second half. Their offense, they've got a lot of pieces. It hasn't quite clicked. Do you feel like their offense has enough if they had to do that again against Corner Canyon, or do you feel like there's room to grow and they need that additional strength as the season goes on offensively?
I think that they're figuring it out, right? I mean, you see this again in college football, new transfers or new free agents in the NFL. Takes time for units to come together and gel. I think week 1 for Lone Peak, there's a lot of new pieces on that roster, and they've had to come together and gel. I think they only get better offensively as the season goes along, as Nimetolo gets a little bit more comfortable, as the receivers figure it out, and then as the coaching staff, they understand better what strengths and weaknesses are. I think that game against Bingham in the opening game of the season was the bottom. They've only improved every week since then, and I think they can continue to keep that rolling now with this confidence that they haven't had in Lone Peak in a really long time. They're looking around feeling like, hey, we beat the 5A state champs, we beat the 6A champs. We're it. We feel really good right now.
I love that point. I was thinking about this week, and if you think about how the season has gone for Lone Peak, remember week 2, they have the fake field goal that they ran in for 30-plus yards on the touchdown. So the offense has increased each week its points production. That's a good sign if you're a Knight fan. Meanwhile, for Corner Canyon, Jerome Miles goes down in that game. Certainly hope he's okay and that he'll get back. Being down Brighton Brady, being down Jerome Miles, who do you look for Corner Canyon to try to step up to help this offense regain the firepower that they had early on this season?
Yeah, I mean, the easy answer is Helam and Kasuga, but you've got to find some playmakers for him. And for me, it's Kai Meza. Kai Meza's got to – I don't know if he was ready to be wide receiver 1. Jerome Miles was there, 5-star guy. Everybody on earth wants him to play for their program. He's a difference maker. He's a cheat code. He's gone now. Kai Meza would be the top dog at just about every other school in the state. He's got to step up and be that top option for Helam and Kasuga. What I'm really curious to see, Dane, is how does Kasuga and really how does Eric Kerr react to now where Helam and Kasuga might be his top option as a rusher as well. We've seen that quarterback run game dating back to Jackson Dart. We saw it from Isaac Wilson. That quarterback run game is a staple in Eric Kerr's offense. That isn't something that Kasuga did a ton of at Timpview. I think he can, but he might have to going forward for corner.
Injuries have really decimated this corner offense. And, Coach Kerr, he's one of the best to ever coach high school football in the state. He's going to earn those pennies per hour that he gets paid as the head football coach at Corner Canyon. Because, there's certainly he's going to have to figure out how to get that offense back on track. And, certainly hope none of these injuries are season-ending. Haven't heard whether they are or not. You certainly hope players can get back in time for postseason. All right, Jeff, we hit you with a bunch of questions on that one. You did pretty good. So we got about 2nd and 5 here. That was a pretty good first down play. You're in good spot.
Head of the chain.
Let's move to 2nd down. So the Davis Darts. This was a team, came out week 1, lost to Lehigh in a bit of a landslide. Good response in week 2. This week, Davis, maybe their strongest performance yet. When you think about the Davis Darts, where do you feel like this team stacks up when you think about the rest of 6A, given what else happened this last week?
It's really interesting. I think they're the best team in 6A that is not located between 72nd South and Main Street in Lehigh. I mean, you take away that, and Davis is looking pretty good with everybody else. It's hard to get to that next tier, that upper echelon in 6A. But Davis is knocking on the door. Look, they played Lehigh and they got boat raced by Lehigh. It didn't work out. Lehigh's had their number now 3 times in a row in the last 2 seasons. Yeah. And I don't think Lehigh's the best team in 6A. I think they're very, very good. They're in that top tier. So Davis isn't quite there. But you look around at the rest of 6A. I mean, look, they had their way with Mountain Ridge. They controlled that game. They have the pieces. They have the quarterback in Bessinger. They've got the star in Bodie Sparrow. They've got really good size in the trenches. Juni Mwala is great. He's fantastic. They've got more talent than the typical Davis County team does. But are they real contenders yet? Probably not. But they've got to be. If there's tier 2, they got to be up there. Number 1 in tier 2.
Here's the thing for me about this Davis team. You talked about that Lehigh game to start off the season. I went back and I looked at that one. I didn't watch the game. I don't have access to watch the game. Hey, if any of the coaches want to give me access, I'd love to watch the game. But when you go back and you look at the stats, they had over 400 yards of total offense against that Lehigh defense. They couldn't finish drives with points. And so for me, I look at it. The other thing is that Devon Ika absolutely ate up that Davis defense. I think he had 13 carries for 150 some odd yards. It was a huge rushing game for Lehigh.
Yeah.
When I think about where 6A stacks up, obviously Lone Peak, corner, I think Lehigh is probably that next team in 6A. And then I feel like Davis is on par with the AF or the Skyridge. I feel like that's a team that could get to a semifinal game, depending on how the seedings go. Now, there's a lot of room for us to still get there. But, you see that score against Lehigh, and you're like, oh man, it was just a landslide. But man, they actually moved the football, and if you can clean some things up, finish off some drives, that could be a different game. Now, that being said, I'm also trying not to overreact because you got to finish drives. And so, I think there's room for Davis. You're right. 3 straight losses to Lehigh. But you think about the talent they have there between Trayton Bessinger at the quarterback position, and then you've got Bodie Sparrow, who's an absolute stud. You've got a guy who can run the football. They do have a lot of pieces there. Can they bring their best game when they play the best? I think that's the question. But I don't feel like they're as far from maybe that Region 3 Pinnacle and Corner Canyon as we maybe presume. That's kind of my take. I don't know, Jeff, what you think.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think they're right there. Usually what happens, I'm a Northern Utah guy, right? I'm a Davis County guy. And typically the difference is in the trenches. Up here, for whatever reason, we just don't have the hogs that can hang in the trenches with the Corner Canyons and the Sky Ridges and schools like that. I think Davis does this year. I think the one thing that's lacking, and it's why a guy like Devon Eka can go so crazy, the linebacker speed is a little bit slow. They've got the beef to help fit those gaps, but they've got to have linebackers that can come in behind and make plays. And I think that's the one area that coaching can help take care of a lot of that. You can scheme your way around some of that Really curious to see how Davis does it, because I think man for man, they just don't quite match up. They're so close, but they're not quite there with that upper tier. So how do the coaches respond, and how do they help their guys out a little bit?
And in fairness, Lehigh does have some D1 guys up front on that O-line, so they are tough to deal with in the line of scrimmage, to your point. All right, Jeff, hey, we'll give you a yard on that one. I know some maybe feel like we may be a bigger gain in that, but we got a 3rd and 4, so you got a running or a passing situation coming up for you here. It'll all be, in your hands where you want to go. For those who missed it, there was a game that was scheduled to be played Friday night. Timpview and Provo, one of the longtime rivalries in the state. The last couple of years, Provo's been right there. They haven't been able to get over Timpview. This game ended up being canceled, a decision that was made Friday after there was some online behavior by fans that deemed this game to be, frankly, dangerous to be played. Jeff, this is not the first time that this has happened in high school sports, and football is not the only sport where this has occurred with fan behavior. Just want to give you a minute to talk about the culture of high school sports and how do we change this in an era where you've got easy access to share a voice, and you can do that behind seemingly obscurity. What is your take on the culture of high school sports right now, and how do we fix this?
I'll answer those questions, I think, in reverse orders. I've had a lot of time to think about this since we talked about it on the Red Zone show on Friday night. I think we've got to start acknowledging it more for what it is, right? It was disgusting. Like the things that were allegedly said, that I think were said online, that led to the administrations getting together and deciding to cancel this game. It was disgusting. It was inappropriate. It was awful. It was immature. I mean, it was all of these things. And we've got to start talking about it for exactly what it is. Disgusting behavior needs to be called disgusting behavior. It was shameful. And I think as we start to understand that and we start to call that out for what it is, maybe that helps bubble some of these things in the surface, because it's to the surface, because it happens way too regularly for lacrosse and soccer. Football last year, there was a lot of ugly online that went back and forth. Now this year, this isn't one-off stuff. And behavior from fans is impacting the game that is designed for kids. The adults in the room, I presume these social media accounts that have been around forever, I guess I'm assuming that they're run by adults, maybe not, grandfathers, maybe not 40-year-old men, but out of high school kids. Look, you've got to act like adults, because you're ruining the game that is designed for kids. And I think as fans, it's generally fans, it's generally parents. I mean, we could just call it for what it is. They are making it harder for their kids to shine, and they're taking away those opportunities for their kids to have their moments that, for most of them, they're never going to get back. So if it's disgusting behavior, just put it back in your pocket. Just be done. There is nothing. If just general humanity and decency isn't enough to avoid saying those disgusting things, then think of the kids that you allegedly are fans of. Think of the kids that you're cheering for, and put it away and keep it off of the internet. For them, if not for yourself and not for general humanity, do it for the kids that you're fans of, that you think maybe some misguided feelings that you're defending them somehow. Do it for them. Do it for those kids that are having opportunities ripped away from them. It was awful. I think the administration, Dane, I generally side, hey, let the players play. Don't punish players. I think the administration made 100% the right call, given the circumstances, and I think that's what it's going to take. I don't think people take things seriously enough until they have something taken away. And hopefully this is a reminder for those Timpview fans, for all of those fans involved, that this game isn't a right, this is a privilege, and it can be taken away. And we've got to respect each other, respect the players, respect the coaches, and respect the game. Otherwise, it's not going to be guaranteed.
Jeff, I agree. And, there's an old adage. I learned this when I was young. I'm not that old. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And for me, this is not acceptable. Just flat out not acceptable. I get there's rivalry and there's passion. And somewhere over the last, 10, 20 years, we've embraced a culture where we can say whatever we want. And it's okay because they can't find me or they can't track me down. And I've got some freedom of speech. What about the responsibility of speech? Right? We all have accountability for the things that we say and do. And unfortunately, it feels like at times we tend to skirt that out of some other obligation that we may feel or some right that we feel is ours. But there's still a responsibility that comes with it. I 100% completely back the decisions made by administration. There's no room for this kind of behavior in sports. And I don't care if it's on the field, off the field, before the game, after the game, during the game. Move on. Get over it. Because this is not about you. Right? And Jeff, I love when you talk about, people taking away things from the kids that have spent time on trying to build a roster and trying to go out to play on a Friday night. And it's unfortunate that behavior that happens outside of a game and outside of a stadium has to impact the game. For me, I've had people that have attacked members of my family, and it's come from quote unquote friendly sources. It doesn't feel good. Imagine yourself being on the other end of what we decide to go post online. And how would you feel about that? And most of the time it's going to be an escalator and we're going to get upset. So I would love if we as a society, to your point, this is not one individual, it's not one person, not one program, not one sport. If we as a society could take a step back and be a little more thoughtful, respectful as human beings and inject a little more decency back into our conversations. It's unfortunate that we had to cancel this game, a game that's been a great game the last couple of years, and we didn't get to see that play out on Friday night. I would hope we can all take a step back and think about how we approach communities we're engaged in. That's in society, it's online, in whatever forum, and try to take a more reasoned approach in the conversations we have. Jeff, A+. That's a big 30-yard gain right there. So well said, my friend. Let's go our final question. We've got a big game coming up this week. It is a rivalry game. So fans, be aware, best behavior this week. 2 3-0 teams. Bountiful going to head to take on Viewmont. Jeff, give us a preview of this game and what you think about this matchup between the Redhawks and the Vikings on Friday night.
Man, I'm so excited for this game. I love what Drew Jones has done out there at Viewmont. It's taken him some time. That wasn't a quick rebuild. When he took that job, Viewmont's not the kind of job that you could just come in, bring in a bunch of players with you, and immediately turn things around. You've got to build a program from the ground up. And I think that Drew Jones has done that. The culture that he has inside that locker room, it reminds me of what we saw from Bountiful a year ago. A guy like Kingston Micken sticks around. He could have transferred last year. A lot of schools wanted him to transfer. But the culture that Drew Jones has created, guys want to play for him. They want to play for that Viewmont program. And you're seeing that so far this year. Offensively, they've been really, really good. Defensively, I question if they're going to be able to hold up physically against a team like Bountiful, but they've been good. The stats speak for themselves so far. Really like what I see from Viewmont. And I believe this game is at Viewmont, so that's going to help. Well, that's a crazy place to play. That community really rallies around the Vikings. That's going to be a lot of fun. Now, Bountiful, they have gritted out some wins, right? Bountiful, we expected them to be a contender, to go back to Rice-Eccles Stadium in 5A, and they're right where they need to be in order to make that happen. For me, they've got to get Siaki Fekitoa going a little bit. As you've watched Bountiful these last couple of weeks, they've been in some close games, against Farmington, against Olympus. They seemed like they've let Gileman throw the ball a little bit more, which is great. He's good. He should be able to throw the ball. But I'd like to see them get the running game going first and then build off of that with some play action passes and then let that open things up. It seems like it's been a little bit of the inverse. I think that's where they're going to have the advantages up front. I think they can out-physical Viewmont, and I think that Siaki Fekitoa is going to be the best player on the field. I like Bountiful in this game, but I like this game to be a lot closer than I thought it would be a month ago when I saw this game on the schedule.
Yeah, that's interesting, Jeff. I love that you talk about the culture that Drew Jones has built. Let's if we go back 1 or even 2 years, he recognized I don't have a lot of kids in this program, and I got to build up some youth. I got to get a pipeline going. And part of what he did was he said, hey, let's go talk to the basketball guys, and let's see which guys from basketball want to come over and play football and which guys of football want to play basketball, and let's build each other's sport. And I think it has paid very good dividends for him in the early parts of the year. You talk about guys who want to play for him. He's had I know he's had players who have had other coaches call out to him. Shocker, I know, about transferring. And quite frankly, he's done a great job of keeping players there. You talk about a Kingston Mickens. This is a young man. He has all sorts of interest to be a D1 player. You don't think that he's had other opportunities at other high schools? Yeah, he has. How about the year of Titan Longson? This is a young man who I believe wasn't able to play for most of last year, got a little bit of action. This last week had 6 passing touchdowns. That's a new school record. And he's got the school passing record in reach. He can set a couple of records before this is all done. You have Kingston Mickens, who set the school receiving yards record. So you've got records being broken right now at Viewmont. And, these are guys that, they've been around a little bit, but it's not like they're 4-year starters. So, the success that Drew Jones has been able to build there through the culture, keeping players. And when you talk to him, he's the first to be like, oh, it's my assistants, man. Make no mistake about it. Coach Jones knows what he's doing. He's a smart man. Has figured out how to build the culture he wants. Players are bought into it, and it's paying great dividends. Remember, they got to a great start last year as well. We'll see if they can keep building on this. I'm curious because it's a rivalry game and it's early on. You got Viewmont starting 3-0. You come off a big week. Do they believe the hype, or can that team remain focused and say, hey, guys, we really haven't done anything yet, right? And can they remain focused in a Week 4 matchup against a rival, against a team that has had the edge, quite frankly, in recent years? Bountiful, remember, made the state championship game last year, been there, done that. It'll be real interesting to see the mindset. I think this first quarter is going to be very, very telling. If Viewmont can hang around and can gain some confidence in that one, I think this one's going to be tight. I'm going to go with the upset. I'll go with the Viewmont Vikings here. You leaned for Bountiful. I'll lean Viewmont, so we remain split. Regardless of who wins, I think it's going to be a heck of a game on a Friday night. And if you're up in Davis County, it's a good one to check out.
Yeah, super excited about it. Like I said, that Viewmont community, man, they rally. They represent what high school sports should be. Those stands are going to be packed. That environment's going to be a ton of fun. That's going to be a lot of fun, regardless of the outcome. That game's going to be a heck of a lot of fun.
Going to be a heck of a game. Heck of a game. Jeff, well done, my friend. Thank you so much for spending time here, giving us 4 downs. Any final thoughts, either regarding Week 3 or prep for Week 4?
No, I haven't had a chance, Dane, as we've worked together. You haven't heard my spiel. Get out. Go watch some games. If you can't, then join us on the Red Zone next week. But get out there, support the community. High school sports are so awesome. Look, that's going to be my 5th down every single time I get the chance to talk about it. Go to your local school, even if you don't know any of the kids there. Just be part of the community. You won't regret it, man. High school sports are awesome.
There's nothing like a Friday night, especially in September. The heat's behind us. A Friday night at a high school football game in September. There's nothing like it. Get out there, support your favorite or your local high school. There's a lot of great players in this state, too. We've talked about a couple of them here this week, and we'll continue to talk about them the rest of the year. And if you can't get out, as Jeff mentioned, join us on KSLSports.com on Friday night. We'll have the Red Zone. We'll take you in and out of games all across the state, bring you all the latest updates, highlights, and live games throughout Utah, only on KSLSports.com. For Vince Francis, Jeff Hansen, my name's Dane Stewart. Thanks for joining us here on 1st and 10 on KSL Sports Rewind.